happen. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Brenda Brandenburg.
Wow, those letters, unbelievable, huh? Really. I mean, Vanessa's words, I don't think that I can pull anything out of the hat that's going to top any of that. But let me give you a little history on how we got where we are today. I started the Facebook page, Save Her Majesty, Restoration of the Majestic Hotel, Hot Springs, Arkansas, at 2 a.m. on February the 3rd. That was after a drive downtown one night during some insomnia, and looking at all of our downtown and thinking, wow, you know, I've built a lot of memories down here. I've built a lot of memories, and I want my grandkids and my grandkids' to see what's here. And I noticed the Majestic. It was like there was a light on inside the building that just honed in on me. And it said, give me your attention. And I went back home and I went to bed and I fell asleep. And I dreamed that night about the Majestic. This is not something that I'm making up. This is the truth. I dreamed about the Majestic, and the reason that I dreamed about the Majestic is because my father had a band here in Hot Springs for many years. He played at the Vapors down the street with all the wonderful icons that we've seen here. He was the house band for many years, and then he moved over to the Majestic and was seen playing in the Magnolia Room for many years, and even parked cars when they didn't want his band playing. I hope that didn't say anything negative about him, but anyway. So the Majestic has been in my blood for a long time, and I dreamed that night that the Majestic was calling out to me, and I got up the next morning and I thought, what? I'm a nurse. That's all I've ever done all my life, is be a nurse and a mother and a citizen of Hot Springs. I've moved away and moved back. I was gone for 11 years. And I thought, what am I doing? Why do I have this message? What do I have that I can bring forward? But those words that Vanessa just penned speak very loudly as to why one person, and I'm not saying that I'm the one person, I really, really feel like the support has been there, but I started that Facebook page thinking that maybe this building could be restored. That was well before the fire on February the 27th. And in fact, I was meeting with a friend, having a glass of iced tea, thinking about what can we do. He was a guy that contacted me through my Facebook page and said, you know, I may have some investors that can do something with that building. Are you interested in talking to me? We met at 4 o'clock that afternoon on February the 27th and sat in that cafe and talked about it and kind of, you know, brainstormed a little bit. And then I got a text from a friend of mine that said, have you heard the news about the Majestic? That's all it said, and I didn't respond to the text. The next text said, it's on fire. And I said, I didn't respond to the text. I just thought, yeah, that's a really cruel joke. Then I decided I would pick up the phone because I got a repeat. It was a copy and paste, the text again. And it said the same thing, obviously. It's on fire. And the next thing that came was a picture of it. He was down here. And I called him and I said, what in the world? He said, it's on fire. It really is. And you can ask my family and my friends, from that moment on, you couldn't tear me away from what was going on down here. I was consumed. And I'm still consumed. I'm consumed by the history that is in this city and the things that we have to preserve. And that's how my Facebook page came to be. And I decided that maybe it was no longer Save Her Majesty, but maybe it is. You know, there's been a lot of good things happen in this town lately, as Robert said. One of those things I think we need to offer appreciation for is that downtown task force group that was started. They had a lot of homework to do, and they brought about some really good ideas from you, the community members of Hot Springs. And one of those things is to maintain the facade, the front of this building that we see behind us, the annex built in 1926. And then maybe behind it build something else, a performing arts center, a modern hotel, whatever it might be. But preserve that front building. We don't know what we've got here. We do not know what we're going to see, but I think that you are the proof that we're going to see something happen here. And if Her Majesty has to be raised, All I can say is that if you've ever heard that poem, The Dash, that talks about at a funeral, people come together and they hear the date of the person's birth, and then they hear their date of their death, and they say, it doesn't really matter what you've done except what's in that dash. Well, I'd like to think that maybe that's what's going on with the Majestic, with Her Majesty, and that is that she is bringing new life. She's bringing new life and breathing new life into this historic town. And her dash is going to be very long, because to me there wasn't an end. There wasn't an end. It didn't end on February the 27th, 2014. To me, that's when it started. And I hope that in our history books it'll say something about, I remember the Majestic fire in February of 14, because that's what started it. Remember, that was before we had all these open water pools and this performing arts center and all of these grand things that we have now. I hope that's what we'll hear. So what can we do? What can you do as members of this city? You can begin by supporting the removal of the rubble. And I know it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen, because we as citizens will not sit here and let it remain. So support that, however it has to happen. Property owner, city, taxes, whatever. Let's get it out of here, because if we have to fight about it, it's just going to drag it out. Let's get it out of here. And if there's a way to disguise it as it's being done, there was a great idea brought forward. I don't know if any of you have been to Las Vegas and you've seen when they build these skyscraper hotels, they build these giant billboards and fences in front of these buildings as they're being built. And that's advertising space. And it can be beautiful. It can be murals. It can be all kinds of things. Wouldn't it be great to see a 20-foot billboard behind us disguising this rubble as it's being cleared away, that shows some of the things that we're wanting to see in Hot Springs, or sell some advertising space to support that? I think that's a great idea. Las Vegas does it. Hot Springs can do it too. So let's get behind that movement and encourage the property owners that have Hot Springs historic buildings, all of the buildings down here, to maintain those buildings. They've got to. You know what? I hate to say it, but the Majestic now is the Arlington in the forecast. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be picking on anybody, and I'm not. That's just one of my other favorite places down here, and I don't want to see it go to ruins. The Medical Arts Building, I don't know who owns it. I have no clue. I haven't researched that. It's not important to me. It's important to me to get behind the movement to restore it, save it, get it back into the condition where I can move my business into it, because that's my hopes later on. And encourage the City of Hot Springs to enforce the new Thermal Basin Fire District ordinance. That was part of the task force recommendations. We've got to do that. We have to. And there are ways that it can be done. We have a great fire chief here. Ed Davis is phenomenal at explaining how this can be done. And let me tell you something, it can be done. It's not going to happen overnight, and those property owners are not going to have to do it overnight. That's not the expectation. If that's what they're saying, that's not true. So you need to look at the plan. It's a fair plan, I think. And if I can do anything to support those property owners financially to help them do that, I will do that, because I want my grandkids and my grandkids' grandkids to see those buildings the way they were, if at all possible. And the other thing that you can do is you can shop and eat down here. How many of you think about that? A lot of us don't come downtown. You know what? When I was a teenager, it was really important for us to get our new car, not new cars. Now, we always had an old car when we were 16, if we were lucky enough to get one, but we traveled right down here and went around the fountain. And that was our thing, our cruising down the fountain. And we knew what downtown Hot Springs looked like. And you know what? The sidewalks did not roll up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, right, like they do now. I'm sorry. Those businesses have got to stay open. But we've got to have business down here to get them to stay open. So we've got to make that first step. So get down here at night. Show them. Gallery Walk is a great start. It's once a month, and if you see the momentum that it brings, it's wonderful. So get down here during the evening and say, hey, I want these businesses open. I'm going to eat down here at Rolando's or Central Park Fusion. I'm going to eat and shop down here. There's some great places. And attend the public events that are down here, like this rally. anything. There's all kinds of things happening. There's a drummer, and I'm sorry, I misplaced his card, but he plays down at the little park that's down Central Avenue and entertains kids and lets them have drumsticks and stuff. It's interactive, and he's great. He offers that service. Get involved. That's the important thing. And support this city by attracting more business to Hot Springs, whether it's downtown, the mall, Cornerstone, wherever. We're all part of a big wheel. And if you think about the layout of Hot Springs, you've got a central location right here that involves Park Avenue, Whittington, down Central Avenue. We've got to encompass Ouachita. We've got to bring Central all the way down Central. Doesn't have to stop. And then what about Broadway? And what about Malvern? There are some beautiful places that we don't need to forget. So, in closing, what I want to say to you is that you've heard from my heart today. This is my passion. And if my dash can say anything at my funeral, I hope someone will remember the fact that I was crazy enough to stand out in the heat in a hot day in Hot Springs and rally behind the citizens of Hot Springs and bring back what this town should be. And I want to thank Robert Taylor. He's a very courageous young man, and I won't be afraid of the future generations if they're like him. Thank you so much.